You accelerate away at the pits of Le Mans, the 24-hour circuit of endurance. But then almost at once you've got a very difficult corner. It's a bit blind, and you can't see far around it. Then you're accelerating again, under the first Dunlop Bridge and down the hill, and into the S's, two very fast left and right handers. You're really using your brakes and all the road, and I mean all the road, over the white lines on both sides and right up alongside the banks. Then you pull away down this short straight before braking again to Tertre Rouge. It's a very slow corner actually, with a sandbank there on the left. Try and keep out of it. So now we've started on the Mulsanne Straight. This is the real straight, although there's a kink at each end. And this is where the speeds really go up, over 150 miles an hour now, and we're not even flat out yet. And yet you can see the way the white lines flash past. Now we're getting on towards the halfway down the straight and approaching maximum speed, over 200 miles an hour. It can get darn difficult here at night, particularly when you can see a couple of red lights ahead and you can't tell whether you're chasing a slow car doing, shall we say, 110 miles an hour, or a really fast one. That is, of course, unless you catch up with it. And during the 24 hours, you will brake about 2,500 times. Now, this is a fast 5-litre GT car weighing over 2,000 pounds. Now, that means that during the race, the brakes will be running at more than 600 degrees centigrade for the whole of the 24 hours, except, of course, during pit stops when I can tell you they get a downside hotter than that. Now we're getting near the end of the straight. We're at full bore. And here's the right-hand curve that you take very fast, just before the braking zone. Begin to brake about 500 yards from the corner, and you start to come down from about 200 miles an hour plus to 45 or 50. The signalling area there on the right of the corner keeps in touch with the pits right through the race. Slowly round now, with the sandbank on the left. The unlucky ones, of course, finish up digging themselves out. Accelerating, and now we're on the third fastest part of the circuit, before the corner they call Indianapolis. Up to about 180 miles an hour here, before braking slightly for a couple of very fast right-hand curves leading into Indianapolis. Here's the second one. And there you can see the whiteboard at the end marking the right-hand corner. Indianapolis is two corners really. There's this small right first, which you slow for, and then you brake hard for this, the main corner. Round Indianapolis. And a very short straight here, accelerating hard before braking equally hard again for a sharp corner at Arnage. Arnage is another slow right-hander with a sandbank, which for some reason people don't seem to get in as often as the others. Out of Arnage, accelerating, building up to the second fastest part of the track, approaching 190 miles an hour. With a few of these slight curves, some people seem to lift off for them. These are the really dangerous ones, though, when you're travelling fast. The track can curve, and you don't. Somehow you go straight off. The next is certainly the most difficult section of the circuit, up to 190 in places, and slightly blind before the White House corner. Now here's White House. We go on accelerating now, all the way up to a new chicane that slows us right down to 50 miles an hour or so before the pits. On the second lap, you may change your braking technique a bit, but you've got to get it right first time, otherwise you just won't come round again.
The curious year of 1968 had repercussions in the most unexpected sectors. Because of the events of May and June, many sporting events couldn't take place at the planned dates. And that was the case for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Planned for June the 15th and 16th, it finally took place on September the 28th and 29th. A most unusual date for this great event. A delay of 3 months that did nothing to dampen the interest of the constructors and the enthusiasm of the teams. Some Japanese came, a sign that they will have prototypes entered very soon. For 3 days, complying with the rules, the prototype Sport and GTs underwent a battery of tests as the perspicacious commissaires verified everything. An exam that the Alfa Romeo 2-litre came through successfully. The Italian constructor, that has scored several past successes at Le Mans, is back this year, renewing with a tradition that had become somewhat forgotten at Alfa Romeo. The Alfas are the best Italian hope. Of course, there are 5 Ferraris here, but officially the constructor isn't represented in prototypes. Ford neither, as the International Sporting Commission has reduced the sport prototypes to 3 litres, so no more 5 and 7 litre monsters, but engines whose size and fuel consumption are more reasonable and more in European norms. Limiting them to a 3-litre maximum also had beneficial effects for French constructors. The Alpine Renault are here, as every year, but this time with 4 prototypes with V8 3-litre engines, fine-tuned by Amédée Gordini. For the first time in a very long while, French cars can challenge for the overall success to try to win on distance. If the Alpine Renault 3 litres have ambitions in the distance category, the other Alpine, the 1000cc, 1200cc and 1300cc, are challenging for the top positions in the energy and performance indexes, as they do every year. The 24 Hours of Le Mans now giving another chance for the constructor from Dieppe to add to an already brilliant list of honours. Jean Redelet can be confident. His team have done everything to get things ready in as small amount of time as possible. The 320 horsepower under the bonnet are perhaps not enough. The Porsches have 20 more, but Amédée Gordini prefers a little less power and more suppleness, allied with minimal fuel consumption. Henri Grandcier will drive the 28 with Gérard Larousse. The 1 litre will be given to André and Nicolas and Mana Gerbeau. It's a constructor that really knows what it's about. Jean Redelet doesn't hide his confidence, but sport is hard to predict and motorsport is full of uncertainties. For all the constructors, the main objective is to be effective. All the cars have been meticulously prepared and tried out in wind tunnels, and they're among the most aerodynamic around. Everything is perfectly controlled, and road handling and power remain essential qualities. 5 Fords are at the start. They're 5 litres who are competing in the GT category. They have 100 horsepower more than the Porsches. They're solid and they've been put together so well that they're going to be top competitors in the category. The Ford GT40 number 8 will be driven by the Belgians Willy Meres and Jean Blaton, the number 9 by Rodriguez and Bianchi, and the number 11 by Oliver and Muir. Another objective at the 24 Hours of Le Mans is to finish in first place in the World Championship of Constructors. This is the last race that counts in the standings in the World Sports Car Championship. Porsche and Ford are neck and neck at the top, Porsche on 42 points, Ford on 40. If Ford win, they're world champions. If Ford lose, then Porsche will take the title, even if they don't win the 24 hours. While waiting for the big day, it's possible to relax thanks to the magnificent facilities on the inside of the circuit, organised by the Automobile Club de l'Ouest. Before such an event, it's essential to relax. These aren't drivers and their wives. They're champions entered in a cup, now competed for on the eve of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The day's arrived, Saturday, September the 28th. The aerodrome next to the circuit sees record numbers arrive. Those who've chosen to come by road have made an inspired choice. The weather is splendid, at least for now. And from the end of the morning, we realise that the summer spending and the fact that autumn's cooler than June have had no impact on those passionate about automobiles. Le Mans 1968 attracts a huge crowd, and it's not too difficult to stand out. The competitors are silent and discreet. Complying with the rules, the vehicles were in the pits by midday and were filled with fuel between 1 and 2 in the afternoon. The interior is functional. The drivers haven't got creature comforts, but they do have the best cars one can possibly imagine. The Porsches, as ever, act as a magnet. They're very long, very wide and very flat. The number 31 did the best time in testing, 3:35.4 for a lap at a bit more than 225 kilometers an hour. There's the Moinet with a Simca engine, one of the two Lola T70s with a Chevrolet engine, as well as the two Corvettes entered in GT. They all stand out. 4 categories are up for grabs: distance, the energy index, the performance index, and the index based on cylinders. Apart from the Alpine Renault, another blue car is defending French hopes, the Matra 24, that will be driven by Pescarolo and Servoz Gavin. It's equipped with a V12 engine. It was also the first French engine used in Formula One. The cars are ready. It's raining at Le Mans on the track and raining on the crowd too, when a group of people climb up to the grid to come up level with the leading car. Among the group, Mr. Agnelli, the president of Fiat, who this year will have the honour of lowering the flag in order to launch the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It's 3 in the afternoon, minus a few seconds. The flag has been waved and away we go for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And the Porsches, the 3 Porsches driven by Seifert, Stommelen and Mitter, lead the way. The exact order on the first lap of the lead trio is as follows. The 33 of Stommelen-Nierspach, in front of the 31 is Seifert Hermann, and the 32 of Mitter Elford. The track is wet, the cars are moving through the rain, and it makes it feel as if there's mist everywhere. At Mulsanne, the three Porsches control the pace. And watch out for the sand, where every year some imprudent drivers spend long minutes against their will. From up close we see the cars well, but from far away, each of the cars, using all their power, leave behind plenty of spray. Now to the Ford Chicane, an innovation this year. This while the three Porsches go in front of the stands for the first time. The Ford Chicane, named after the great constructor from Detroit, forces the competitors to decelerate so that they go in front of the stands while accelerating. It makes it more spectacular and it's safer too. You have to go through one by one. If a car messes up, then there is an escape road allowing the car to get back onto the tracks via the pits, but with a mandatory stop. Already a stop for the number 30, a problem with the windscreen wipers. All of this happening well back from the three Porsches that are going at a crazy pace, the peloton getting more and more stretched. On the Unodière straight, the power of the cars is at last given free rein without any limits. Nothing to concern the firemen and the policemen here, but a bit further round their colleagues had to intervene on lap 1. While chasing the Porsches, the Ford GT40 of Mérès found itself in a pitiful state. The driver managed to get out and was fortunate. The 31 puts in a lap at 200 kilometers per hour, before improving on that a little later with one at 204 kilometers per hour. It's said that at Le Mans the bad weather never lasts for long. The sun has chased away the clouds and the track is more or less dry, and there's perfect visibility. Never have the pastures been so green and the sky so blue as after the rain. The turbine-powered helmet, the 22, and its unique noise is entered here and is something of a curiosity. At the Ford Chicane, there's only one tactic, and that's to follow the well-established racing line. For the Porsches, it's time to refuel, and Mitter hands over the wheel to Elford. Siffert leaves his car to Herman. As for the 33, well, it spends longer in the pits, 13 minutes to be precise. That's how long it takes to sort out the clutch and to change the fan belt. The drivers don't seem worried, but they're losing time on the constructor's other two cars, now well installed at the head of the field. It's just refueling for the number 12 meanwhile. It's the last time we'll see the 65. It comes to a standstill soon after. A pity for the team, and there'd soon be other abandonments as the drivers try to follow the ferocious pace. Now let's head to the end of Unodière to Mulsanne, where generally there's excitement. And it's Muir who's the star, despite himself. He's in the sand for fully 43 minutes. The medical staff making the most of the entertainment, and that's a good sign. It's spectacular racing and a great battle in this autumnal 24 hours of Le Mans. Here's the Healy 47 of Baker and Hedges it has to abandon. For their grand return to the big-time, Alfa Romeo are going really well, but Porsche are still dominant. Flags play a big role in automobile racing. Blue, yellow and red, white, green. The significance of each colour is well known, but leaves the drivers of the Alfa Romeo 65 totally indifferent. The Ford Chicane, and it's worth noting that it's added 8 metres to the circuit, now at a length of 13.469 kilometres. The Chevron 25 abandons when the cylinder head gasket goes. Of the 54 cars that started, 4 have now fallen by the wayside. With the weather set fair, Joe Siffert ups the tempo and immediately posts a 340.2 at a surprising average for a 3 litre of 220 kilometers per hour.
Ce qui représente la moyenne étonnante pour une 3 litres de 220 km/h.
Back to the pits, going through the Ford Chicane, where the drivers have learnt it's preferable to drop a place or two and trail around, rather than run the risk of having to take the escape road and pay the consequences for that. The 21 refuels, and it's the Ferrari of Piper and Atwood still loyal to the great annual competition held here in the Sarthe. At Alpine Renault, they've found the formula to have impeccable lights after 2 hours of racing. Getting into the car is a bit laborious though, as the cockpit of the Alpine 3 litre is pretty narrow. On the 30, the seat used in turn by De Courtanze and Venatier is changed so that they can go through the night in the best conditions. The Helmet 22 turbine is still in the race, but its sister, the 23, has already abandoned. The Alfa Romeos are going well, very well in fact, just like the Matra. This is the worst thing that can happen, breaking down in the middle of nature. There's nothing left to do but to head back to the pits on foot while the rest of the field carry on racing. The escape road has finally seen some good use, but you need the green light in order to be authorised to get back out onto the track. At the end of the day, it's best to get through no trouble, like with the Porsche and Matra here. Time is passing and some drivers have already put the lights on. And that's when we can appreciate the great idea of using luminescent paint like they do at Alpine Renault. It's now nearly 8 in the evening, and the sun going down was fatal to the leading Porsches. One after another, they had to give in or fall down the field. All-out attack didn't pay off. The Ford GT40 of Pedro Rodriguez and Lucien Bianchi now leads at the moment. The attractions of the village of the 24 Hours of Le Mans really start to get going. A strange village, in fact, one that comes to life every year at the twice-around-the-clock event and has pretty well everything that you'd expect. It's here that you can feast on a hot dog or on a full meal. Enjoy the entertainment on the numerous stages erected the length of the circuit. The start was more than 10 hours ago, so it's high time we gave you a standings update. The Ford of Rodriguez Bianchi still leads, but the Matra of Servoz Gavin and Pescarolo has made a spectacular climb to second. The Porsche 66 is third in front of the Alfa Romeo 39. Two other Porsches follow, including the 33 of Stommelen and Nierspach, the only car left standing in the initial breakaway. After 15 hours of racing, the Ford GT40 of Rodriguez and Bianchi still leads. 7 laps back, it's the Alfa Romeo 39, followed a lap further back by the Matra. Then come 2 Porsches, and the Alpine Renault of Bianchi and Depailler completes the top 6. Day is breaking slowly, and it's started to rain again. The track is damp, and the pace has dropped to 193 kilometers an hour on average. Almost half of the cars had to give up during the night, and the remaining cars form a peloton that is really stretched out. There are still Porsches and Alpine Renaults left in, but no more Chevrolet Corvettes. In 1968, it's pretty cool when the spectators wake up. Some learn from the newspapers that the battle at the front is still just as open. That battle taking place not far from their tents. From when the spectators wake up, one thing is on their minds: food and drink. And it's easy to tell who has slept well and who has slept badly. And what about the race, you cry? Well, it carries on, notably for the Matra 24 of Pescarolo and Servoz Gavin, who are engaged in a serious battle for second place for the Alfa Romeo of Giunti and Galli. For now, the Matra is second, but Pescarolo had to stop to change one of his tyres. It's annoying for him, but nothing serious. Back into the pits for the Alfa Romeo of Casoni and Biscaldi, still running in the top 10. The Matra has been repaired and is back out there, still running second. The Alfa fills up and gets going again. There are more wrecks than cars left out on the circuit in this most arduous of races. There's always damage done, and the fact that it was cooler this year didn't help more cars stay in. Here's the Alpha of Giunti and Galli chasing the Matra and second place. As for the Alpine of Grancy and La Rousse, it took too many liberties with the circuit. Meanwhile, the youngsters take part in their own endurance event, the 24 minutes of Le Mans. A slight modification to the rules compared to the real 24 hours, where any driver helped by a third party would be disqualified. It's a very serious race, and now the prizes aren't sweets, but trophies like for their elders. They've certainly taken the attitudes, traditions, and movements from their elders. It's often said that the 24 hours of Le Mans is the world rendezvous for all those interested in automobiles. It seems that this year those passionate about cars have come from far and wide to watch this 36th edition. The museum is doing brisk business. More than a visit, it's a real pilgrimage here when you come in order to see what the first car was in the family. Oh, there's an incident to signal. In the S's at Tertre Rouge, a car's gone off and has caught fire. It's the Alpine Renault 27 of Mauro Bianchi and Patrick Depailler. The Belgian, Mauro Bianchi, was at the wheel here. Fortunately, his injuries weren't too bad. Some light burns to the hands and face. The driver will consider himself lucky. And it's just at the time when the spectators are reveling in the spectacular racing that they learn that the Matra 24 is no longer in the race. The Matra's abandoned. A bit after Mulsanne, a tyre quite literally blew up. About 3 hours from the checkered flag, it's a stupid way for things to come to an end. Pescarolo treats the news serenely and knows the game's up. There are only 22 cars left, but hundreds of clients in the restaurants on the circuit. There are no abandonments to signal, just a few pauses after eating and a short night. 300,000 spectators were in attendance officially, and they were as surprised as the Swiss Spurri and Steinemann to find out that the Porsche 66 had moved up to second place overall. The sun is back for the finish for the last of the 24 hours. Despite having been postponed 3 months, this has been an excellent edition. 54 cars at the start, 20 still in an hour from the end. In the pits, lessons are already being taken on board as weaknesses are assessed towards the conclusion of this most grueling of events. At Tertre Rouge, this is the scene. The Alpine Renault 30 of Venatier de Cotanze is in 8th place in front of 3 other Alpines. While seriously fatigued, the blue cars have conducted themselves with great valour. 5 of them make it to the finish out of 15 cars to be classified. Rodriguez and Bianchi still lead, and this time they'd see it through to the finish. The Alphas take 4th, 5th and 6th, just behind the Porsches Stommelen and Nierspat, the only survivor from the blast off the start line the previous day. It's over, and at the wheel of the Ford GT40, the Mexican Pedro Rodriguez and the Belgian Lucien Bianchi have won the 36th edition of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The distance covered, some 4,452 kilometres. They triumph in front of 2 Porsches, 3 Alphas, a Ferrari and 4 Alpine Renault. Of 19 cars at the finish line, only 15 are classified. The last 4 hadn't covered enough distance. Rodriguez, at 28, has already had an exceptional career, and 34-year-old Lucien Bianchi was competing for the 13th time at Le Mans. Also claiming honours the Alpine Renault of Nicolas and Androuet, first on the performance index in front of an Alpha and a Porsche. And at last, honours for the 52, another Alpine, first on the energy index. Flowers, compliments, spray. Another great event is starting for the heroes of the party. It always finishes with a party, whether you're on the top step of the podium or not. After all, most of the entrants don't get honoured. And this is the great party that is the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the great party of the automobile.